I cannot stress this enough that this build will destroy any boss that has a boatload of health. The gameplay that you are seeing, I ran a solo ops and I was minus 50 power. And I want you guys to pay attention to the health bar on the boss. Yep, all I was doing is just hitting my bonk hammer and his health went down extremely fast. If you want to try out the build for yourself, the dim loadout link will be in the description. So without wasting your guys' time, let's head straight to the build. When it comes to the exotic armor piece, there's actually, you can choose between any of these exotic armor pieces. The first one I am going to be using for this build is Worm God Caress. If you want to increase your damage for your bonk hammer even further, this exotic gauntlet is for you. But there's a catch to it. So as you're defeating targets with your melee or a finisher, it will grant you escalating melee damage, but it decays over time. And also to the higher level of Burning Fists will increase your weapon damage. So when they mean by Burning Fists, pay attention to the buff on the left side of the screen. I got a kill, as what you see there. There's going to be 5 charges for your Burning Fists. So the higher you go, the more damage you're going to deal, and same goes for your weapons. So you see there, it is ticking time for the Burning Fists. So in order for me to regain the bar, I just have to get melee kills or even a finisher. Let's see if I can get a finisher here. Hopefully everything is dying. I just want a finisher, please. Give me a finisher. Boom, finisher. Look at the bar, and I got a full bar back. So the only thing I don't like about the Caress is that you just got to pay attention to your Burning Fists. But if you don't want to do that and just freely game and just play as normal, you can use this other exotic called Syntheseps. All you would have to do is be surrounded by enemies to increase your melee damage and also your super. This will also grant you improved weapon handling and reload speed. So for Syntheseps, you're going to have to be surrounded by 3 or more enemies. So as what you see here, there's one enemy there, another enemy there. I'm going to go here. Syntheseps did not activate. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to spawn in more enemies. And as soon as they spawn, pay attention to the left side of the screen. Once they spawn, as you see there, I got bionic enhancements. So I could just bonk an enemy and just keep bonking and bonking and bonking, shoot, increase my reload speed and handling, and etc., and also your super. As long as you see the biotic enhancements on your left side of the screen, you're going to be getting all of those benefits. And also too, once you're away from being surrounded by enemies, your timer is going to tick down. So I'm going to run away, and it started from 5 seconds. It is now going all the way down to 0 seconds. And to reproc it, again, just be surrounded. And when it comes, from my personal opinion, when it comes to using this build, I would recommend going for Syntheseps. But if you are one of those players that want to increase your melee damage as high as possible, then go for Worm God Caress. But in the gameplay that you are seeing, I was using Worm God Caress just to give you what it would look like if you were to maximize your damage for the bonk hammer. So we are going to be getting multiple ways to increase our damage even further for our melee ability. And let's first start with the stats. Your main priority when it comes to your stats is your melee stat. So once you reach 100 stat for your melee, it will reduce your melee cooldown, increases the amount of melee energy you gain from all sources. But if you want to increase your damage even further, you're gonna have to go beyond the 100 melee stat threshold. But once you reach 200 melee stat, it will grant you a 30% increase in damage for your melee abilities. And that's our goal for this build, so be sure to go at least 160 within your melee stat, because on my gauntlets, I am running double melee font. If you have 2 stacks of these, it's gonna give you 40 melee stat. So 160 plus 40 is 200. So as long as you're collecting orbs of power, and in which case this build will provide, it will grant you 200 melee stat. But if you can already reach 200 melee stat without needing to use melee fonts, you can swap melee fonts off if you like. But the recommended minimum is just to reach 160 on your melee stat. The second method to increase your melee damage is this shotgun. You can use any special weapon or primary weapon, but I would recommend a special weapon because of this perk here called 1-2 punch. Hitting a target with nearly every pellet in a shot will increase the melee damage for a short time. They did buff this perk, so instead of it lasting for like, I don't know, like half a second, it is now going to last 3 seconds. So this perk will grant you 150% increase in melee damage as long as you proc 1-2 punch. And why I chose to put this void shotgun, because on the 4th column called trench barrel, after a successful melee hit, this weapon gains increased damage, handling, and improved reload speed for a short time, or until 3 shots are fired. So this is the perfect match made in heaven when it comes to these perks for this build. build. And I know a lot of people don't really have this shotgun, so all you would need is to find a weapon that has 1-2 punch. I know there is primary weapons that have 1-2 punch, but I don't recommend you where to put that because you will deal less melee damage while you have 1-2 punch on your primary hand cannon weapons. I do believe it gives you a 75% increase in damage for your primary hand cannons, but with your shotguns, it will give you 150%. And for the exotic weapon I went for this build to increase my melee damage even further is this void shotgun called Tractor Cannon. To sum it up, all you would have to do is hit the enemy to suppress the enemy, and as that enemy is suppressed, that enemy will deal 30% increase in damage from all sources. And this shotgun will also stun overload champions. I do recommend going for the catalyst for the shotgun because all it will do is that it will increase your ammo reserves. And lastly, damaging an enemy with this shotgun will increase your handling. All right, let's head to the Sunbreaker Titan subclass. I want to talk about the aspects first. Your main aspect to go with is Roaring Flames. This is another way to increase your melee damage even further, but in order for you to activate this, you would need to get either final blows with your solar abilities or ignitions. And there's going to be 3 stacks of this. So either get 3 kills with your solar abilities, in which case we are, or ignitions. I do want to let you guys know for this aspect, you can activate Roaring Flames with your basic melee kill as well. But when it comes to activating Roaring Flames for your melee ability, your basic melee, you're going to want to do this first. What you're not going to want to do is this. Just get a basic melee kill. As what you saw there, Roaring Flames did not activate. In order for you to activate it, you're going to need to get at least 1 stack of Roaring Flames. So get a solar ability kill. Once you see Roaring Flames there, get a melee kill, and then the stacks will go up. So be sure to keep that one in mind. The next aspect you're going to want to put is Soul Invictus, mainly due to survivability. In order for you to activate this, you're going to want to get Solar Ability Final Blows, Hammer of Soul Impacts, that is the super we are using for this build, and defeating scorched targets will create a sunspot. Your abilities will regenerate faster, and your super drains more slowly while standing in a sunspot. Mainly due to this part, sunspots apply scorch and deal damage to targets inside. Entering a sunspot will apply restoration. So for restoration, you're going to be getting healing non-stop, and if enemies were to damage you, the healing will still go up. When it comes to your abilities, for your solar grenade, you can choose any solar grenade you like, but I went with healing grenade for more survivability. For your solar melee, you're gonna have to go for throwing hammer, and here's what they did. They did revert the throwing hammer bounce and behavior and pick up cooldown to the pre-Edge of Fate state. So what that means is that you can basically spam your hammer non-stop, as long as you don't throw your hammer off the map. So as what you see there, I'm just gonna keep spamming it on the floor, and I'm doing it infinitely. This is so satisfying coming from a Titan main. All right, there's going to be 4 fragments in total, and for the final fragment I'm going to mention, it is going to be optional. The first fragment you're going to want to go for is Ember of Torches. Powered melee attacks against combatants make you and your nearby allies radiant. Radiant will give you a 20% increase in damage to your weapons, and we are going to be tying our weapons for this build to increase our damage for our bonk hammer. The second fragment, go for Ember of Solace. Radiant and restoration effects applied to you have increased duration. So for restoration, we're going to be getting it from Soul Invictus and also our healing grenade, and for radiant, we're going to be getting it for our bonk hammer. The third fragment, be sure to go for Ember of Empyrean. Solar weapon or ability final blows will extend the duration of restoration and radiant effects applied to you. So again, we're going to be getting solar ability kills a lot, and we're just going to be getting infinite amounts of restoration and radiant as long as we're getting kills with either our solar weapons or our solar abilities. And the final fragment, again, which is optional, is Ember of Searing. Defeating scorched targets grants melee energy and will also create a fire spray. Here's why I put this fragment, because there is going to be a time where you're going to accidentally either whiff your hammer or forgot to pick it up. So to get scorched kills, you're going to want to either use your super or activate Soul Invictus. So as long as the enemies are in your sunspots, they will get scorched and die and will grant you melee energy. And whenever you collect a fire sprite, it will grant you grenade energy. If you want to copy the seasonal artifacts, feel free to do so, but there really isn't any seasonal artifacts that really help with this build. If you want to try out the build for yourself, the mobalytics will be in the description. If you guys did enjoy this build video, I hope it helped you and you learned something new. And if you did, I would greatly appreciate it if you were to hit that like button and also subscribe. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, evening, or afternoon. Take care and peace. I'll see you guys in the next video.